Teach us, good Lord, to serve you as you deserve, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wounds, to toil and not to seek for rest, to labor and to not ask for any reward, except that of knowing that we do your will. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
German, it's another coup. Oh, really? Okay, put in alert. Everybody.
Now it began at the top, calling the famous Victor Paz Estensado, graduate of the American Institute, head of the MNR party, leader of the 1952 Land Revolution, and elected president in 1951, 1960, 1964, and would be elected again in 1985. He also called Hernan Silas Zuazo, also an American Institute graduate, who was the other main leader of the 52 Revolution and two-time president of Bolivia. And he called Juan Lachin, a Lebanese Hispanic who was the head of the Miners Union and head of the Bolivian Workers Union. And the other was Marcelo Quiroga, a Hispanic writer, journalist, professor, and a leader of the Socialist Party. And last of all, Ivan Zagata, who was the head of the Socialist Party.
Dr. Paz Estensoro, the big chief. It's happening, and we have a meeting at 11 o'clock. Okay. Juan Lachin, it's okay. The Socialist Party, okay. All the big leaders. And the politicians, they say, immediately we need a meeting with the journalists, and we're gonna say that since today, a civil strike. No work, no nothing, until these crazy militants, they go out. All the big trade union leaders.
And you're the one that called me.
And the Catholic Church.
Where was the meeting?
In El Prado, there was a building of the miners. It's not anymore because the crazy militants, they
destroyed it. And they began to gather at 11 a.m. Very few persons came. One of those who came was Marcelo Ortega, a Methodist lawyer who also represented the IMB at the meeting. But only three of the big leaders arrived. Juan Lachin of the Miners Union, Marcelo Quiroga, and Ivan Zagata of the Socialist Party. Those present told Herman to call again. They especially needed Victor Paz Estensado because he was so famous he would provide some protection for all of them from the paramilitary. No one would dare kill him. So Herman called Estensado and the other missing leaders.
The main person was Victor Paz Estensado because the biggest political chief. I'm coming. Wait, I'm coming. Well, he says that he's coming, so we need to wait. Hernan Silesuazo, the other one. Yes, I'm coming. I'm coming. And they never arrived.
Juan Lachin speaks up.
Well, maybe it's not a coup. Let me phone to the trade union in Beni, where it's supposed to begin the military coup. Hello? Tell me, do you see some soldiers? What is happening in Beni? And from the other one, no, nothing. It's completely okay. Well, maybe it's a fake news because everybody's saying that it's okay. So let's wait. We waited. We were like this, sitting, and the windows were to the Prado, to them. Suddenly, shocked. Everybody was shocked. I saw them, they paralyzed. Because I said, please, like they paralyzed with the In the first 5 minutes, when it began, Marcelo Quiroga, the one who was killed, says, okay, who has guns here? Not me, not me, not me, not me, not me, not nobody. And he said, well, I'm the only one that I have. And he take his, because we don't have any, we can't defend. If they, when they're gonna up, you're gonna be prisoners. They took the first floor. They took the second floor. We were in the third floor. And Lechin says, okay, don't worry. I know how can we to the other street.
We can sneak away.
A secret way to run. And it was a very small
Passageway. Yeah.
so. But the paramilitary, they were
Waiting at the bottom. They shot up the stairway
yes.
right by you,
In our here.
right next to you. Just missed you.
The whole because we were
Yeah.
back again. And 2 miners, they were killed in that moment. So everybody wanted to run, and some of us, it was any place to hide to us. Everybody went to the bathroom, they closed the doors.
Thought that would stop the military by closing the door.
And okay, we need to say that we gave up. Okay, you? No, not me. I can. You? No. You? Herman,
Who's going to tell him?
you must say that. Hey, we give up. We don't have any gun. We have anything. Don't shoot. Okay, then you go down to us. So I closed my eye because I thought that they will shoot me there. You know what saved me? Hey, I'm the bishop of the church.
And then they realized you weren't the bishop of the Catholic Church.
And they killed there Marcelo.
Marcelo Quiroga was a Hispanic who came from a very, very rich, famous family in Cochabamba. Herman says he was a very good man, a very rich guy. His family owned half of Cochabamba and were like the Kennedys in Massachusetts. Marcelo was an intellectual, a journalist, a writer, a professor, and leader of the Socialist Party. Very famous. And they shot him right in the head, right in front of the other prisoners. The soldiers took the prisoners down to the Prado. All the stores had, of course, been closed, and those with glass storefronts had rolled down their steel covering to protect their store. A few of the stores had a hole cut through the steel covering so that people could still squeeze through and still get into the business. Once down on the Prado, the soldiers ordered the prisoners to back up and put their backs to the wall of the closed businesses. Mario Ortega, the Methodist, with his hands up, happened to be backing up toward the small cutout door to a bank.
Mario, when was passing there,
He just backed all the way through the door into the bank.
and the other, well, they didn't know if they run after Mario or keep us. So Mario.
That got away. Oh my gosh.
They took the other prisoners to a jail on the Plaza Moreno. The building is no longer there. The government in 2006 took this building, which represented torture and tumultuous and violent politics of the past, and tore the prison down and replaced it with the new House of Parliament. Herman loves the poetic justice that the place where he was almost killed is now where the Democratic Parliament meets. For the Bolivian coup, the biggest threat was the U.S. government. The U.S., with its military and covert operations, could quickly destroy any coup, and the U.S. did not take kindly to those who overthrew elected governments. However, the U.S. was immersed in the Great Cold War. The U.S. government divided the world into two groups, communists and those against communism. The best way, in American eyes, to justify any coup d'etat was to claim that it was to prevent a communist takeover of the nation. Consequently, the Meza dictatorship immediately began to look for some way to prove that there was a communist plot and to show it to U.S. officials. There were several dozen prisoners already sitting in the jail, scared and wondering what would happen to them, when Herman and the others he was with were thrown into the cell. Meza had hired the Argentine Secret Service to conduct the tortures of his political prisoners. Each of them had a nickname. One was called the Killer. Following is an exchange of a discussion I had with Herman in which he tells the next part of his story. The events he's describing are terrible and horrible, and yet he tells the story in a funny way, laughing throughout. I guess it is a defense mechanism within him that allows him to remember the story but not be forever crushed by it. Neither he nor I intend to belittle or make fun of those who suffered and were tortured, including Dr. Crespo himself. By the way, when Herman says boom, he means that a torture hit the person who was speaking. As they were sitting there in the prison, Herman saw Ivan Zagata, a leader of the Socialist Party, one of the leading members of the Permanent Assembly of Human Rights in Bolivia. The killer walked into the jail and called out Zagata's name. They then dragged him off. Within a few minutes, all the prisoners could hear Zagata's screams. Here is Dr. Crespo's description of what happened.
12 in the middle of the night. We just, and then they take back to the jail. Oh, I say, look, of course, don't worry. This will happen only to the politicians, not to us. Don't worry, because we are not politicians.
Herman was convinced that only the politicians would be tortured.
I was trying to calm them because they were, everybody was. The second name, Herman. The one that was saying, don't worry. I said, me? Why? Boom. And they put me out. And there was with a man's blood was so.
They took Herman into the same room that Zagata had been in. Zagata's blood was all over the interrogation floor. They emptied his pockets and placed his stuff on the table, including the calculator.
What is your name? Herman Crespo. Boom, boom. In the first question, that very easy question, I was.
They're already hitting you and beating on you.
Somehow I was happy. Say, oh, maybe they are looking another one because why?
They asked my name. They don't even know who I am.
If I am.
Yeah. Herman thought that since they didn't know his name, that they were looking for somebody else and they would let him out of jail.
Once again, what is your name? Herman Crespo. Boom, boom, boom. I said, but they are saying who I am. I'm saying who I am. And they're almost killing me. For the last time. Click.
He cocked his gun and put the barrel against your head?
What is your name? If I say Herman Crespo again,
They're going to shoot you.
what will I say? What is your name for the last time? And they'll say your complete name. Herman Alejandro Crespo. Now are you remembering? Oh, now you remember. What is your name?
The captors demanded that he sign a confession that the IEMB was a communist organization. Herman pleaded with his captors.
Okay, where the guns are. The second question, crazy question. ¿Dónde están las armas? No, we belong to the church. We don't have any arms, no. Maybe the Bible? Boom! So you're kidding us, eh?
But Herman realized that his captors didn't care what the truth was. They needed a confession that had already been written out, and all that was needed was Herman's signature. A confession that the Methodist Church of Bolivia was a communist organization. The truth didn't matter. They needed that confession, and if it took torture to get it, they would get it. Herman was severely beaten throughout his body. Sign this confession. We know the Methodist Church is a communist organization. Sign the confession. And with each refusal by Herman came a new punch, a new kick, a new pain. At one point, his torturers left the room, leaving one lone torturer alone with him to guard him. Herman looked up and recognized the man. He was a classmate of Herman's from his days at the University of La Paz. "Why are you doing this to me? You know me. Why?" "Herman, I'm so sorry. I joined the army because it was the only job I could find. And at least with me, maybe I can save your life." The beatings and tortures continued for seemingly endless hours. Finally, at one point, Herman found himself lying on the dirty floor of the jail cell, bleeding from his mouth. He couldn't breathe. He knew he had broken ribs. Herman told me, "David, the pain was so intense, I would have signed anything." So I told my captors, "Okay, I'll sign the confession." At that exact moment, one of his captors slammed his hand down on the table. Everything that was on the table bounced up in the air, and something landed on the on button for his calculator. His captors heard. But Herman heard. Reminding him of the closing refrain, "Let goods and kindred go, this mortal life also. The body they may kill, God's truth abideth still. His kingdom lasts forever." Herman told me I understood that it was the Lord that had sent me a sign of encouragement. I told my captors they could kill me, but I would not sign. Boom! And they took me back to the jail cell. When the other prisoners saw me, they were horrified by the way I looked, but they were also surprised at how happy I was as I sat there and listened to my calculator and the hymn of my loyalty to God.